Welcome to Hustle Radio, a podcast about the New York hustle mentality centered in the e-commerce industry, the official podcast of the E-Com Cooperative. Introducing your hosts, Frank Acosta and David Dayon.
How are we doing, Frank?
What's up, man? How are you, David?
Happy Monday.
Yeah, I just made a post about it today on LinkedIn, man.
I saw.
Monday's the best day of the week, man.
Yeah, I think popular belief is that it's the potentially worst day of the week because it's the first day back to the grind, but I like the fresh approach to it. We are here today with episode 20 of New York Hustle Radio. Can you believe it's episode 20 already, Frank?
Dude, these numbers are just flying, man. I feel like we're doing this weekly. It's like a new podcast every day, man.
It's crazy. We are joined by a very special guest today. I'm going to let you do the intro.
Yeah, man. We have one of Thrasio's own today. We have Ken with us. I've been seeing him in so many places. I've been seeing him in so many events that we've been going to, and he's legit one of the coolest people I've met. I'm excited to have him here today and to share what they're doing at Thrasio because it's so huge what's happening over there. I'm excited to have him. Just put him in here, man. Less about us, more about Ken today.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on, Ken?
I like the background. Yeah, you should let people like baseball pick their walk-up song, you know?
Yeah, we should. David is always picking the music. But I'll tell you this, Ken. David always picks a song, and maybe I shouldn't be blasting this, but a song that goes according to the person that we're interviewing. And he's talking about winning, right? And lately, Thrasio's been winning like crazy, man. We see you guys. I saw there was just a crazy round that you just recently picked up. And I'm seeing Thrasio everywhere. You're dominating the space. Ken, it's crazy what's happening over there. I'd love to learn more. And thank you for showing up, man. Thank you for being a part of this.
Yes, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no, happy to. Happy to be part of the cooperative too. Yeah, it's been fun. I mean, like you said, we just announced a $1 billion equity raise, which kind of I think brings our total capital raise to $3.4 billion over the last 3 years, which is pretty crazy. 1.6 of that over the last 2.5 months between equity and debt. Yeah, so loading up the balance sheet to continue acquisitions and scaling the company in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, crazy. I'm so curious, man. Now that this growth has come, how many brands are we talking about weekly or monthly? Are there numbers out there that you can throw out? Like how much are you acquiring?
Yeah, we're so far this year we've been so far this year we're on average acquiring over a brand a week in 2021.
Wow.
Company a week, yeah.
That's crazy. There's a lot of people here that I know. Some people will be sending some messages, and we'll get to those later. But I know David has some hot questions I want to get into, and we're just pumped with what Thrasio's doing. And I think that the industry has changed so much. And more importantly, Ken, I like to go back a little bit to like all these people that were building a couple of years ago. They would have never imagined.
We got a little audio, Frank. Maybe I don't know where that's coming from.
Yeah, it's cool. What else? Yeah, it's definitely not here. All right. So Ken, you know, it's been a while where like all these people that built these brands years ago, right? And they started from their basement, they started from their living room or whatever the case is. They never imagined like a company like yours coming into play and buying them out for numbers that they possibly didn't even think was an option. Right, nobody was thinking about selling their Amazon account a few years ago. When you encounter these people, there must be like a huge emotional attachment towards the brand and letting go, but also seeing that is a huge opportunity for them. So I'm interested in the play that goes into it when you're talking to somebody about acquiring their brand and the process.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like you said, I mean, a couple of years ago, right, this wasn't even possible to sell your Amazon business, right? So I think people viewed it as a hustle, a side hustle, something they could do. You know, everybody's out there saying, you know, kind of in lockstep with Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Work Week. And this was something you could do part-time at night or on the weekends and make, $1 million a year off of. In reality is that's not true. And it's even becoming harder and harder today. I think to be started a new successful Amazon business, right? So you had people that also running this, and they're not really paying themselves, right? If you're scaling, you're constantly reinvesting your profits back into the business to it's capital intensive business. So let's say you're doing $1 million in revenue and $200,000 of profit. Your cost of goods sold through on an annual basis on average is going to be $200,000 of inventory that you're going to need to buy and sell through on an annual basis. So if you want to grow your business 100% the following year, your working capital investment is going to have to be $400,000, right? So, and if you're netting post-tax everything, you're plowing that all back in, and then you're even leveraging up and needing to find new sources of capital. So, as an Amazon seller, your ultimate, unless you're hitting levels of 5 million in profit a year, right, and then you can kind of, get lines of credit and cheaper sources of capital, et cetera. But your ultimate payday comes when you sell. So I think sellers understand that now, and where valuations are in the marketplace. I tell people all the time, these are real, M&A multiples for small, medium businesses that 3 years ago, necessarily wasn't the case, right? Multiples were like 2 to 3 times. And I'd always have that conversations, and sellers would say, why would I sell for 2 to 3 times my trailing 12 months profit? I'll just run the business for 2 or 3 more years and make that. And again, that's not actually how much they make, but that's how they framed it. That's how they framed it in their mind. And now that multiples are 4 to 6 times, those are real multiples, and that's a real exit of your business. So it's great conversations now.
I saw something on the website, Ken, when I was doing some research for the bio for the episode. I saw something on the website that said that you guys allow sellers to stay in the business. And I thought that was very unique also. And I'm saying I appreciated that offer. It said something like a lot of sellers are not ready to leave, and they have goals and aspirations for their business that they want to see through, that they're not ready to just, say goodbye to it. And I thought it was very interesting that you guys offer that ability to stay in the business and kind of let it see it hit that milestone, and then obviously make that exit. I saw numbers, something like 150 acquisitions in total. Is that up to date? Is there more that you have that you can, or it's that 150 number?
Yeah, there's more than that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's more than that.
Nice.
And it'll be obviously higher by the end of this year. And I would say we're looking for great products and brands, right? And it's funny. I mean, people are right. Like we were kind of first in the market. We're the clear leaders in the market, and now everybody's trying to create a narrative as to knock us a little bit. And so people are like, we're not aggregators, we're brand builders, we're accelerators. I mean, there's all these terms, and people are trying to get away from the stigma as an aggregator. But look, we're all those things too. And, we're not just buying brands and letting them sit there. I mean, we're buying brands and products on Amazon that are, domiciled on Amazon, and we're scaling them. And we have multiple case studies and, businesses that we've grown 10x since we've acquired, and we wouldn't be raising the capital and getting the valuation in the private markets that we are if we're not doing all those things that everyone else claims to be doing, right? And so it's just funny when I always you'll hear someone will raise capital and their press release will say, well, we're not an aggregator, we're an accelerator, or we're a brand builder and we care about brands. Like so do we. It's just you can't have long-term success in a consumer products marketplace if that's not how you're thinking and how you approach, day-to-day business and operations. So I'm excited to see, get more case studies out there of what we're doing. I mean, I see the numbers every day and talk to our senior brand managers and operations and marketing and our, brand central in-house. We have an incredible team of branding experts that we've assembled that are, going into our portfolio, looking for great opportunities, which is really exciting. And I think, it takes time to do that and to actually build brands, right? Anybody that's tried it knows it's, not for the faint of heart, and you need a lot of fortitude and, need to use a lot of data and time, energy, and capital to do that. And, fortunate enough to have that.
So I wanted to get a little history on the company and a little history on you as well. So first of all, I wanted to ask when did Thrasio, when did you guys start? How long ago did you open your doors?
Yeah, the first acquisition our co-founders Josh and Carlos did out of their own pockets, I think was in June of 2018.
Cool.
So 3.5 years ago.
Very cool. Okay. And then when did you join Thrasio?
Yeah, so I joined November of 2018. So we had done, I think, 3 acquisitions at that point. So actually this Friday is my 3-year anniversary at the company.
Wow.
So I was employee number 10.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That was my next question. What number?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it feels, 10, which includes all the, the original founders. So
what someone
feels like 10 years.
You had a chance to work with Snoop Dogg when they were running the Angry Orange commercial.
I didn't, but John Hefter did. Our head, yeah. So John was one of the original as well. I'm sure people met him at conference and whatnot. His brainchild. He did a lot of work on Angry Orange personally. So yeah, it was a great commercial. I implore people if they haven't seen it to check it out on YouTube.
I have to check it out. I haven't seen it.
So Ken,
that's awesome. Yeah.
We have so many questions, man, because we're so interested in this topic, right? As you know, me and David deal with a lot of Amazon sellers on a day-to-day basis. And some of them, like, when do you know if you're ready to sell or not, right? I know it's a question that now that they, because obviously everything's public, right? So they see when Thrasio says they purchase a new company or we're buying brands weekly, whatever the case is, right? They see all these advertisements. And when do you know if you're ready to sell or to even start considering that?
Yeah, it's an individualized decision, right? There's no magic moment where you're chasing something and you check all the boxes and then that's the time to sell, right? I always tell people that either are married or have kids or have gone through some big life decision that there's always a leap of faith associated with those decisions, and this is one of them, right? Selling your business, something that you've put your blood, sweat, and tears into. You have hopes and aspirations. You have a feeling of what you think you can take the brand to or your business to in terms of a revenue target or a goal, right? All these entrepreneurs are incredibly motivated, incredibly self-driven, which is awesome, right? But that can also be very tiring and it can be stressful. And, the bigger you get, the more risk you take on personally. And so I think a lot of people, either they hit fatigue, they hit a growth stall, they hit capacity constraints. Those are really, I would think, that the top 3, right? Reasons why people sell. And look, Amazon, it's getting more expensive to be a top seller on Amazon, right? With CPC costs going up, all the supply chain issues everyone's dealing with. Obviously caused by a massive demand shock we've seen over the past 18 months. That's continuing unabated, and I think it's really an individualized decision. And I always tell people, if you're not stressed or you don't have capital or capacity constraints, like I always say, look, take it to where you think it's 75 to 80% of its fulfill its destiny. Right. That's probably a good time to start thinking about it, right? Like we as buyers, we want to see upside. We don't want to buy something that's at a peak and is going to go down, right? So
oh, smart, man.
Yeah. We're looking for some meat on the bone, right?
One of those things you mentioned, Ken, about supply chain issues right now. I feel like over the past 12 months, I've heard just from the pulse that I have on the industry, I've heard of a lot more people having problems and potentially looking to exit and just even give up and it's getting hard out there, like you said, specifically with the inventory backups. And some people, I feel like more people, I'm curious to see data on this year when they release it. I think that there's going to be a lot of people who went out of business this year. And I'm curious if you guys are seeing more interest and more leads come in for people who are struggling, like you're saying. I feel like like maybe a year ago, there wasn't that many people just struggling and not able to come up with the capital to get to the next step. And if anything, sometimes you have a beautiful business that just requires more than you can give, and you just can't take it there. And that's like a prime candidate for an aggregator to come in and sort of save the day and allow them to take their business where they want to go. Combined with the fact that today I feel like something that changed from 3 years ago, people are starting Amazon businesses with the goal of an exit after 3 to 4 years, which is something that I've never seen previous to a couple of years ago. And that's like almost the ideal situation. Like typically, like you play your cards right. In the best case scenario, you start a business, you exit after 4 years, start it all over again. And that wouldn't be possible without the Thrasios of the world. And I feel like so far it's trending in that direction where people are struggling and there's just more opportunity. And I'm curious if you guys see something similar, like a trend in that direction, or maybe it's just something that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because the flip side of that is people think, hey, I'm struggling, and maybe they're, optimistic or hopeful that it's going to turn early next year or in Q2 next year, right? So, and you hear conversations around, I'm struggling, but I'm just looking for, do you guys want to make an investment? I don't want to sell right now because I don't want to sell from a point of weakness, right? If you've been out of stock for 3 months and your business is valued on a trailing 12 months profit basis, right? People are like, well, I was out of stock. If I was in stock, I would have made X, right? And then I tell them, like, we're not going to pay you for if analysis, right? Because, I have this conversation with sellers all the time, and it's like, well, you had, let's go back and look where any of your competitors out of stock and you took market share during that time period, right? So should we discount those revenues and profits because you picked up like market share and there was a benefit from other people running out of stock, right? So those are the conversations we have, and we try and structure deals. I think one of our strong suits is we're very creative on how we structure deals. So we'll look at a business, and if someone's like, hey, I want to sell, I thought I had a really bad year last year. And we'd say, all right, well, let's look at the numbers. Let's have a frank conversation. And, we'll give you maybe a longer period of an earnout or performance payment or profit share. Maybe we'll do 3 years or up to 4 years, right? To like let the business recover and then let you participate in that upside from, where you're at today. And so I just encourage sellers that if you're thinking about it, it's worth having a conversation with potential buyers because, particularly if you have great listings, you have maybe, branded search and, creating a great brand, like there's always value to be ascribed to those things. And it's just whether or not it makes sense to you at any given point in time, right? To feel like you're getting the value for what you've built. It's hard though. I mean, we see it, we have, we run out of stock. We're not immune to it, but we definitely have leverage and capital and relationships that help us, I think, much more so than the average seller.
I also find the bigger the seller, the more weight they pull. Just from the 3PLs I know, if a small seller calls them up and says, I need something, they might get thrown to the bottom of the list. The bigger you are, the more the 3PL is gonna. I mean, I don't know if you have your own warehouses or whatever it is, but the point is, you could, when you have more to work with, when you have more brands and more accounts, usually you're able to. I'm sure you guys are not like feeling it as much as the small guys who don't have that weight to pull, and that's definitely an advantage. I feel like you guys are of course benefiting from.
I want to say something real quick. Ken, it's so interesting because I know a few of my customers that have sold to you, and without saying names, of course, everything is private. There's some that are like, I'm like, all right. So I called one. I'm like, hey, you exited. What's going on? What's next for you? And I would think he's on vacation. He flew out with his family, whatever. He's like, listen, I'm here building another brand to go back to Thrasio in a couple of years and sell to them, right?
Yeah.
So I'm working on a different category. We understand Amazon. We've had a successful exit. Now we're working on our second exit, right? And I feel like the game of Amazon has changed, right? Now more and more people, their goal is to build a brand and exit, right? And it's a quick strategy of like legit. We all know the headaches that come with Amazon, right? But if you've built it before and you have an intention where it's like, no, I'm just going to build this to be able to sell it, you could rinse and repeat. And this business structure just became another big thing for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, we're already seeing. I mean, we're already purchasing, second brands, third brands from sellers, right? They either had 2 or 3 at a time, one, and then they came back, 12 months later, sold us the next one, or they sold one and then have spent the last 2 years building another one. Oh yeah, I think it's like Amazon doesn't get enough credit for the entrepreneurial ecosystem that they've really built. It's probably one of the greatest creators of wealth in the United States in terms of a company. Like everybody looks at them, they're like, oh, they're making so much money. They're valued at, I forget what the market cap is, like 2 trillion or whatever it is, right? Like, but they're creating. I mean, it's created. When we look at it and we talk about it internally, it's so exciting for us. I mean, we've minted 170 millionaires, right? Like. Not they've done the work, right? Like we've provided the capital to on paper and in their bank account make them millionaires. Like they've done it themselves. But what I'm saying is we've had a hand in literally writing checks to over 170 people, making them millionaires, which is amazing. And it is one of these unique skill sets that is repeatable. Right. And people all the time, right? You're starting to see aggregate, similar plays in the D2C space. Right. And we've looked at tons of D2C brands. We've acquired a few, and we're launching D2C sites for brands that we've acquired that were native on Amazon, and let's go build a D2C site. But it's a much different business model, right? Like the beauty of Amazon is, the customers are there. You just got to go capture them and get in front of them. Right, like the search volume's there, the platform's there, the prime customers are there. D2C, you got to go out, acquire and retain those customers, and you got to make a bet that you're going to be able to, depending on the product and customer lifetime value, but go out and sell multiple products into a customer, right? If it costs you $50, $60, and we all know with the iOS 14 update, right, like customer acquisition costs have doubled, tripled. Some businesses are out there saying they've gone up 10x. And that's just going to continue, right? As I think Apple's, they're making a push. I mean, they see the money and the margins that Facebook and Amazon are making on ads, and they have their own computer in everybody's pocket, right? Like, why aren't they monetizing it? And I think what you're seeing is they're, I wouldn't be surprised if they're doing a couple $2 billion in advertising revenue over the next couple of years, and that's going to make it even harder for D2C brands to go out and attractively acquire customers, and you're going to need first-party data to do that. And if you're a startup, you don't have that, right? Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting, and I think it's going to keep pushing brands and they're going to need to have an Amazon strategy and Amazon know-how. So there's not a lot of it out there unless you're an Amazon seller, right? So I think outside of starting another Amazon business, I mean, I would be starting a consulting agency, and look, you don't take any a lot less risky unless you've sold and you've de-risked yourself and you have capital to put at risk. But there's a lot of people that are in businesses that are going to need Amazon expertise over the coming 5-10 years.
Yeah. So Ken, when you buy a big brand, which you have, I'm talking about obviously within the brands you've purchased, there's some that are extremely big. Do you also take their team with them? I mean, because at one point they have at all, you don't?
No. I mean, we've built our team. We've built our team in scale. So, we have well over, I think, 1,200 full-time heads in the U.S. and another 900 plus, contractors and overseas employees. So
I stopped keeping track of that. I remember it was 500. Then 1 minute later it was 600. Then 10 seconds later it was 700. So
I think we have 130 recs open on our site right now.
I remember that video. I remember that video of the donut
in the US 600 and in Europe. So
the 600 munchkins they delivered.
Yeah. I think there's a delay. in the video.
There has to be a delay. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
There was a video of 600 munchkins delivered to the 600th employee or something. 600th employee. That was awesome. That was great marketing.
Yeah. Danny, our president, he's awesome.
Yeah, we have a good question here from Pardeep here. Shout out to Pardeep. Congratulations on your success. He's asking about an acquisition that has failed, and if you have, he's saying if you have ever had an acquisition that's failed, and if you have, what has gone wrong in your evaluation or post acquisition? It's a good question.
Yeah, great question. Yes. The answer is yes. Right. I mean, we're not batting 1,000, and this is anybody that says they are is lying unless they've only done one acquisition. Right. I think. Look, what we've learned is the toughest part of this acquiring a business is replicating that institutional knowledge that the entrepreneur and owner has built over multiple years running the brand, right? So they know every day they're on Amazon, they're checking which competitors have moved up, they know which tactics X, Y, and Z competitors using and how to combat them, right? And there's a knowledge transfer that has to take place, and it's typically over a very truncated period of time, right? Like maybe 45, 60 days in the due diligence and transition period. So there's stuff that gets lost in translation that can lead to, right, like, hey, we need to learn about how to compete in this market if it's a new market to us. The other things that happen, a few of our early acquisitions were, we've kind of obviously learned this, and we've walked away from a lot of these that I know I have subsequently gone on and sold to other buyers, but businesses that are early leaders in a market that's like a burgeoning market, right? Amazon is in a very efficient marketplace, and anytime you see margins that are outsized, i.e., kind of over 20% net, unless they have brand equity and can command a premium price, which allows for higher margin structures. If it's a commoditized product that doesn't lend itself to brand equity being built, and they've grown exponentially for a period of 2 or 3 years, those are the ones that we've gotten burnt on, and just haven't, we wouldn't not necessarily got burnt on, but margin structures and margins get cut in half. Low-cost Chinese competitors come into the market, right? And everybody's looking for new products to launch and new markets to go into, right? So when you think you found, this is just for all entrepreneurs, right? Like you think you found a great idea. Marketplace is so efficient, right? Of like kind of teasing out those good ideas, and other people enter in at the same time. I mean, I'm sure everybody here has tales of competitors that have come in and, copied their idea, or suppliers have copied their idea once they see your order volumes picking up, and they tell a friend, and to launch it or whatever it may be. So those are, we're not batting 1,000. We do have a great batting average, and we have a great slugging percentage, which is required to win. We have a portfolio of well over 200 brands. So some are the ones that are hitting grand slams, some are hitting singles, right? And one of the hardest things I think on Amazon is what I call action attribution. And it's really hard to isolate variables, and when you're updating creative, running PPC campaigns, trying to rank on new keywords, et cetera, it's really hard to tease out like what led to an increase in conversion rate or
tell me about it.
Sessions.
The best you could do is
right and
take an action and then hope it works, and then you see it go in the right direction.
Yeah,
say it's working. You can't really pinpoint it. That's one of the biggest. That's a big pain point too.
I mean, we know. Yeah, I mean, we have a track record of a lot of action. So we're getting good at. We know what we're good at. And so there's definitely playbooks we run and SOPs we have on, driving more traffic, improving conversion rates and things like that. But early days, you don't know. You're throwing a lot of shit at the wall and seeing what sticks, right? Yeah. And I think it's one of the advantages that we had as an early mover and first mover in the market is, being able to raise capital, make a lot of acquisitions, and have a lot of things that we test, and sometimes tests fail, but oftentimes they succeed, and that allows us to then leverage what we just learned across our entire portfolio. And as our portfolio grows and grows and grows, that leverage just becomes exponential.
You start to see trends. You start to see a strategy that works more often than not.
Yep.
100%.
Let me ask you.
Yeah,
I
ASINs, we have 20,000 plus
Amazing.
ASINs to test on too.
Yeah.
I have a friend that just texted me, Ken, and he's asking, would they consider a brand that started 9 months ago, growing quickly, doesn't have the money to scale, but they have a vision and sales are increasing?
Yeah, I mean, so probably not for us, because what we're looking for is leadership positioning in established markets.
Yeah.
And that's really our thesis. So, we're looking for the top 5 players that have, a well-established review moat, right? Like not for nothing, but Amazon's recent changes of terms of service, right, is making our existing portfolio of brands that much more profitable, because if you're number one in a category, and now you can't, do search, find, buy, and offer rebates and gather reviews, right? Like that, those assets are just going to become more valuable over time, right? So it's funny because our original thesis when we started Thrasio was, hey, let's buy brands that are on page 2 and under optimize and get them to the bottom of page 1, middle of page 1, and then we realized, like, this is a lot harder than we thought it was. Like, let's just go out and buy the leaders, all right, and then what we learned is, all right, now we gotta learn how to play defense, because they're getting attacked. Like, now you're getting attacked all the time, right? So what we've learned over the years is you got to play offense and defense simultaneously, and we've gotten really good at both. And so, we are looking for that beachfront real estate on Amazon, as we like to call it. And that's what we pay up for. So not to say that other aggregators or buyers are looking for, early growth brands, because there's definitely a buyer out there for it. It's just not us, and it doesn't fit our thesis.
Okay, I'm gonna pivot in today's topic. We're touching on some of it, but I wanted to just do justice to the topic. The content so far, Ken, was awesome. I feel like just me and Frank alone are enjoying this so much, and I'm sure that just from the comments alone that we're getting, everyone's enjoying the topic of conversation. So we talked a little bit about risk and a little bit about valuations. I want to touch on the Amazon gold rush for a bit. I just want to get you to expand on that a little bit. And then I think 2-3 minutes, we're going to have a cameo appearance. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
I promise you'll enjoy that one.
All right.
Cameo.
Yeah, no, I think, I did a talk of this on the powwow event, which is a great event. But I think we are in the Amazon gold rush right now. I think people were afraid of Amazon and kind of the power that they wield against an independent small seller. I think the steps that they've taken to increase third-party seller exposure and have really dedicated their capital on building out fulfillment centers, et cetera, to support third-party sellers, and they're now 60+% of the marketplace. I liken it to, like I said, 1849. The 49ers in the gold rush, right? Like the early people were able just to literally pick up gold rocks on the riverbed in kind of San Francisco Valley, and create a lot of wealth doing that. And then more and more people came from all over the world and started to do it. And then you had to get smarter on how you mine for it as it settled in the riverbed. And then you had to figure out how to pan, and then you had to figure out how to drill deep into the riverbed, and then you had to figure out how to crack rocks that are underground and get it right. But the long-term value has been created by those that have stayed with it, worked it, and kind of had to either find new ways to extract value. And I think that's where we're at and headed. And there's, $12 billion has been raised. It's still, if you think about $12 billion, and let's just say, the average business, let's just say it's six times, right? That's, that can buy $2 billion worth of EBIT profit, annualized profit. There's well over 50 billion in the Amazon third-party ecosystem today, and that's just growing. So I still think it's early days. And then if you expand outside of Amazon, right, into D2C and wholesale, the opportunities are, kind of limitless from a consumer products addressable market.
Crazy. David, I don't know, but that little shirt, that shirt that you got under, I see like a little. What's going on over there? It looks a little familiar.
Right, I'm representing. I got some
Yes,
merch over here.
Oh, nice.
Look at him. Look at him. I saw the little square and I was like, look at you, man. Look at you representing Thrasio, man.
Yeah.
I like it.
We got some merch for the next cameo appearance also when he joins.
Oh, okay. All right.
I don't take merch from shows. I only take it from someone who I want to represent. I happen to have known. I was at AMZ Innovate with Kyle and Andrea, and I was like, oh, I think I'm having Ken on the podcast. I said, let me get a T-shirt, so I'll wear it during the episode.
Nice.
So that was fun.
So who do you have as a
Appreciate
cameo, man? Like David is always with his surprises and always adding people to
Love
our
it.
podcast. Who do you have coming in here, man?
We
have
have
Tim here, so it must be somebody.
we have some people. We have some. Oh, wait a second. No, hold on. He's trying to get in. Let me get him in. Hold on.
It's all good. Ken, so you're located in the city? You're in Boston, right?
Yeah, I'm in the Boston area, so just south of Boston.
That's
Not
that
South Boston, but
Boston. That city of Boston is growing, man.
suburbs.
I hear you.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, downtown, there's it's just like New York, like tons of cranes still in the skyline.
Are
It's
there,
great. I mean, it's a great city.
Are there Amazon sellers evolving in that city?
Yeah, nowhere near right like New York and
course.
other areas, but yeah, they're starting to. You get some pockets. There's been meetups for the past couple of years.
And you guys just opened an
Sophisticated.
office in New York, also, right?
Yeah, we've been in New York, but we just got new office space
New office.
that we finally opened up. Kind of.
Oh, are you gonna come visit New York anytime soon, or?
Yeah, I was down there 2 weeks ago. I usually come down, every 2 months or so.
All right, we have our
to spend
first
some time.
our first
A lot of
cameo
our M&A
appearance here.
team is based out of there.
And our second. We have both of our cameo appearances.
All right, man. Let's see who we got here. Oh, I see him.
Yoni.
Hey, what's going on, people?
Yo, man, my man.
My man.
What's
I think
going on?
Ken is he's in Walpole. Are you Walpole-ish or no? Walpole,
Yeah,
Massachusetts?
Yeah, that's where our office is.
But is that where you live also or no?
No, I live in a town called Hingham. Just on
Hingham.
the South Shore.
If it doesn't pay up, hang him.
Probably it's like a half hour away
Gotcha.
from Walpole.
Yo,
Gotcha.
David, can I say that these are the two brands that are legit everywhere?
Yeah.
Can we say that we see Gatita and Thrasio everywhere?
Yeah, I wish I raised $3 billion. I wish I raised $3 billion also. It would help me a lot with the bills.
Oh man. We have
Wait,
two
so
brands.
we also have our second cameo appearance. Ken, I don't know if you know our second cameo appearance as well. I know you're very good friends with Yoni, but Andrew is also great people. I think we all know each other, but just
Oh,
in
nice.
case.
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, everybody.
Casey in the house with the
Yes,
D.
sir.
And we got a little bit of everywhere going on right now.
I love David and Frank. They're always pulling in the cameos, the guest appearances, keeping stuff exciting and fun. I like that. I feel like a lot of other podcasts are just very like, hey, here's the template. We're going to stick with it. So you guys are always having a lot of fun, and I think that's a lot of fun.
I'll tell you, one of the secrets is we have we don't even prepare ourselves, right?
It's great.
You guys are like
Obviously-
Seinfeld, a show about nothing, right? And,
Yeah,
there's always room for creativity, yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. There's
Show
some
on nothing.
podcasts that I've entered and I had no idea who we were interviewing because David does all the setup. And David's like, "Hey, Frank, you want to introduce the podcast person today?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Who am I? No, it's like I feel like when you have it planned out, it's like you become a robot versus letting it uniquely flow. And
Well, Frank, I don't want to give the wrong idea.
love
You
it.
definitely have to do some planning. You can't just
yeah, for sure. I'm saying like we don't go like we're gonna ask you this question at 105 and 110. We're gonna be touching this topic. No, we go where the podcast takes you, and obviously the viewers, right? They have questions that they want to hear, and yeah, man, I know.
What was the meat of the podcast today, Ken? Like, what were you guys covering today? Obviously, the VP of acquisitions there, so I'm sure some of that had to do with that. But I'm interested in what I missed. What's the cliff notes on your guys' combo?
Yeah, we were talking about, I mean, the Cliff Notes was really, it's a market that continues to evolve, right? We've kind of been in it for the past 3 years. So I've had a front row seat to the evolution of, an Amazon seller being able to sell their Amazon business and what that means for them personally. Kind of where the market's headed, I think, right? Call it kind of like the professionalization of Amazon sellers is happening, and is actually becoming imperative to be successful, right? When you look at supply chain issues, CPC and advertising costs going up, right? Like competitive markets get, shifting, and product launch and iteration cycles are getting quicker, coming out of, China and other manufacturing countries. So I think it's a really interesting time in that these are, real acquisitions and real valuations that Amazon sellers are getting now. There's no dearth of buyers that are out there. So it's really kind of like a gold rush if you're an Amazon seller, thinking about potentially exiting or even just continuing to scale your business. But also knowing that, it's just getting a little bit harder as you do scale.
Well, thank you for that. Just add in my 2 cents to make it worthwhile for coming in, obviously. But when I'm an agency owner, full service. I've been in the space about 10 years. Just for a little background on myself. So whenever I first heard of Thrasio, I'm definitely one of the guys that was pumped about aggregators coming into the space. And there's some downsides, like losing clients as an agency owner, like if they get bought out, or some things like that. Obviously, it's like a harder game to play with higher CPCs and things like that. But it's not really a blame game either. And in my mind, with the aggregators coming in, obviously every company stands on its own legs and its own culture and its own people and things like that. But I've loved that it's bringing the market up to a professional level, because I've been a professional trying to compete in the Wild West a little bit of Amazon services. And so for me, it's like it's bringing us all up a level in professionalism and how brands are paying attention to our space and the amount we can charge for what we do. So in that sense, I've just had a blast since you guys hit the scene, just really like digging into what an aggregator is. A lot of my mentors deal in like the tech space and things like that, where investment and rounds of funding is like a common thing. But and I'm not playing in that space as a service agency, but it's been something I've just watched from the outside. And now that it's happening in our space, it's been really cool to just dig in and learn as much as I can, whether it's for educating brands I'm building, whether it's like, brands coming to us and wanting to know the climate of the space, whether it's wanting to know from your guys' end, how things are going, what you guys care about, all of that has just been kind of a fun addition to this space. And I think that, I was honestly trying to pull off the Thrasio model bootstrapped, right? Okay. As an agency that's building brands and things like that.
Yeah.
But in my mind, you guys validated an idea that I've had for years in regards to building, exiting brands and things like that. So it's been, you have an admire from my side of the woods, at least, and have enjoyed, obviously what you guys have done is amazing, but I've just enjoyed watching it and what's come of it.
Kansas City, man.
Thanks. And I actually said earlier, Andrew, that, I think it's a great time to be an agency personally. As people and brands need to figure out Amazon as, if you look at everything that's happening in the D2C space and advertising with the iOS 14 release and Apple pushing more and more into the advertising world, I think it's going to get harder. And if you don't have a well-established brand and first-party data to launch new brands on D2C, so I think it's actually going to create a great opportunity for Amazon to go after. Right, their Achilles heel is always like new brand discovery, particularly in the apparel and fashion world. And I think it's going to open the door for them to actually potentially take share. Like I read an article over the weekend about Shopify's talking about building, their own marketplace to rival Amazon, where you can actually search and it would the results would be all Shopify merchants, and that kind of which is just really interesting. Like I think
I saw that also Nordstrom is creating a marketplace, and Macy's they're all building marketplaces.
But wait a second, Shopify is the second biggest. Yeah, it's currently the second to biggest, right? Right now, if it's all separate right now because there's no one.
If it was a marketplace,
If it was a marketplace, it's the second biggest.
Yep.
E-commerce platform, e-commerce platform,
That's the biggest threat Amazon has, bigger than Walmart, anything else. that's
And
very
soon we'll be buying those products in the metaverse that will be shipped from Amazon,
Yeah.
I'm sure. But we'll digress on that one. But I think that that's not that far off, and it's just like, okay, what are these marketplaces going to look like? There's always a front runner. I like the Walmarts. I'm just somebody that's competitive by nature. So like as the competition steps up, it makes Amazon step up. As the aggregators have come in and thrown money behind software services and agencies and things like that, boom, all of a sudden Amazon software is catching up. Right. So it's like, if you care about the space and you want to win and you like playing the game the way it's meant to be played, I like that the easiness is going away. I like that, the tools we're getting to do our job are leveling up. So it's been a lot of fun on that side too, to just like it's not just, throw a product up and run a bunch of reviews at it anymore. It's like, we're brand building. And so, I'm just having a lot of fun with that. And I think the competitiveness of the other marketplaces is less about a fear thing, like what's going to happen to Amazon, or, oh my God, this thing I've built might go away. And instead it's Amazon's going to level up. What's next? Because Amazon's been ahead of everybody in the same way Apple, these things are just, if you've been in the space a long time, you've had to pivot already a lot. And so it's just another pivot, right? It's just another, what's going to come up.
The only thing that doesn't change is change in this industry.
The only constant.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're just one of those people that like to park it and don't like change it, then e-commerce can be maybe one of the most the stressful industries ever. But I was also someone that was getting paid a lot of money to sit and watch networks.
That was MasterCard, right? That was with MasterCard?
Yeah, I hated that job too. So it was like, I moved to e-commerce because it was about this ever-changing landscape versus sitting there. So I think it's a lot of fun. You guys being at the lead, obviously, at Thrasio and kind of being the lead horse on what's going on. But there's a lot of people out here just watching that and loving what you guys are doing for the space. I know Prosper was super cool, just like, with the aggregators there. Bringing some attention to a community that we love so much. Some of us absolutely love this community. And there's just like, there's a level of professionalism that's coming that I think we have you guys to thank for it.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Nice.
I digress. Okay, I got my 5 minutes in, but Casey coming in strong. I just wanted to say what's up since we had a.
I love your microphone. It sounds great. It looks great. It looks it's a startup hustle, style. So, by the way, just shout out to Andrew Morgan. He's one of the hosts of Startup Hustle. It's one of the, I guess, leading podcasts for, was it e-commerce or was it entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah, top 20. We hit top 24 actually all time on Apple. Spotify for entrepreneurship.
Nice.
So would love to have you on the show sometime. Not to get a plug, but since he just hand fed it to me, like I'm gonna take it, shoot. So.
Ken, you got an open invitation to the top 24 entrepreneur podcast on Apple Podcasts. That's pretty big.
Let's do it. Andrew, that's awesome, man.
Take care.
All right, awesome guys. So let's just recap here, okay? So we talked about Ken's history. We talked about the Amazon Gold Rush. We talked about risks and valuations. We heard from Andrew. Now, Yoni, before we wrap up, I want to just give you a chance to plug Getita and just add in your 2 cents on today's topic. No pressure. If you want to just wave goodbye, we could end things off as well.
Yeah, less about the Getita world. If you want to learn about Getita, go to getita.com. I'll keep it as simple as that.
There we go.
But what's on my mind is more like, I'm actually kind of, I don't want to say nervous, but I'm very anxious to see how Q4 and Christmas will end up for the space. I'm wondering, because of all the supply chain issues and all the competitiveness and all the craziness going around, is this going to be a dip, or is this going to be, I don't know, another explosive, good, upside events for the sellers? And so I think that we're in a very interesting junction. I'm not a prophet in terms of making a profit. I'm saying a profit with a PH in terms of looking to the future. But the question is, how profits are going to look like for everybody involved. And that I think later on will also affect Ken's industry and space of buying up, because if results go down, what's happening with all the evaluations? If results are going up, once again, how's it going to affect the valuation? Because the worst has happened, and still the industry grew and matured. It just be very, very interesting time. So tune in, play the game, keep your eyes open, and until the next event.
Yeah. So before we go, David, I have something interesting. And just 2-3 more minutes. We have an interesting thing here. I know, Yoni, you come from a successful exit when the Thrasios and all these other aggregators didn't exist. Would it have been different if you would have waited and sold now towards selling when these aggregators weren't out there and was just selling to a different type of audience?
Yeah, just to clarify, no. So we actually exited before the splashy exit day. So we just sold all of our inventory in the market. We took all the profits and kind of reinvested in Gatira. So to answer what you're saying, yeah, 100%. I could have exited much faster with less pain, and actually I can land the whole battleship in somebody else's battleship or crew and move on. So yeah, definitely. Great thing to have.
But then, Yoni, you wouldn't have had all that leftover inventory, and I wouldn't have got my backpack, which I love. So.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so now I have a lot of gifts because I'm stuck with some inventory from back in the day. Yeah,
that's pretty good.
True. So it's all for the best.
Pretty good.
Silver lining.
Pretty good trade though. You guys are
doing
good things at Gatita.
Thank you so much for joining. Ken,
peace out. Happy holidays.
Yoni, thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Have
everybody.
Everybody.
Yep. Take care, guys. Thanks for having me on. Happy Thanksgiving.